Hey.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Hey everyone.
This feels like the European Championship, Holland against Portugal or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Holland meets Portugal, maybe something like that.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while for Holland to meet Portugal on football, I think.
Yeah, correct.
Maybe it's going to happen. I don't know.
I don't know. To be honest, I'm not really a follower of football. I'm into all kinds of motorsports, and football is nice, but I don't know. It's not really my thing.
I've quitted football it makes me very nervous and very cursing 10 times more than I curse. So I just said no.
Okay.
Fair enough. Okay, well, let's introduce everybody properly then. We've got Gustavo joining us from Portugal. 1,000 details. What's up, man?
All good.
Nice to see you.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, finally face to face, eh?
Finally, yeah.
I must say, Gustavo is one of the more prolific guests on our Discord
you
server.
Already curse a lot, so
yeah.
So always prolific and always chatting away there. So lots of good information from you. Always helpful too, I must say.
Thank you.
Thanks for that. Good to see you here. And we have Robin joining us again. Hey, Robin, how are you?
Hey, man. I'm doing well. Just I'm already reading the comments here. Nice. Yeah, I'm doing well. Busy on a lot of stuff, and also that's And
nice one. Good to have you back. And Arthur is joining us. Arthur. you just taught me how to pronounce his name.
Arthur. But you can say Arthur, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Nice to have you, man. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm very glad to be here, finally. Yeah, I wasn't expecting this, but it's nice to
well, you made it.
As well.
Cool.
Expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
True. The prophets.
So,
Gustavo the prophets.
Okay, I can be a prophet if you want to.
Yeah.
So let's hit it off. Let's start. I mean, I've been listening to your album, Arthur, the one you did on warm up recently. It's about 4 months ago, I think. I think you released it or something.
Yeah, it was in January that I released it. Yeah. On
January.
From Oscar Muller.
Yeah. It's epic, man. It's awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll actually have another one coming out soon in July on Axis from Jeff Mills. So yeah, 2 LPs this year.
Nice one. You've spent the downtime properly.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
that's cool. I was wondering when I was listening to it, because Gustavo told me you're sort of mainly in the box, right, with your producing. So what are the ways that you are getting such organic and natural sounding sounds? What is your secret? What's your approach there?
Actually, I try to the way that I feel that it gives the sound that's raw, more analogish feel to it. I don't like this expression a lot, but whatever. Is really about using the right amount of distortion and amps and all that stuff. It's where I tend to go when I want to have that feeling to my music. And I really like to use granular effects as well. That part also helps a lot to give a more organic feel to the music. But I actually, for the LP that I will have on Axis, I did all the tracks with the synthesizer, the Dave Smith Evolver. That's actually my first hardware synthesizer. And I did all the tracks with that synth. It took me like 1 day and something to do all the tracks. They are very toolish, very hands-on, very raw takes of some loops that I recorded. But yeah, I'm happy with the result. But yeah, nothing too crazy going on there.
So how do you normally approach it? Do you start with experimenting with sounds, or do you sort of make sound banks and that you recall later on, or like, because I always have a ton of fun, you know, working with a stack of plugins and try to do sound design and stuff like that inside the box. Yep. But then you know, completing a track is a different thing, because to me it takes quite a long. I mean, for me, the way I work, you know, it takes a hell of a lot of time to actually kind of Lego everything together. So what is your approach? Do you have a certain starting point, or what is the way you approach it?
I mean, I already know a lot of ways to do kicks I like and process heads in the way that I like and all that stuff. So the drum part it's easy for me most of the time. Sometimes the kick doesn't work well with the sequence or whatever, but most times I find a way to make it work. And I don't have a sample library per se. I have like recs that I save with a lot of stuff that's already done. When it comes to synths and all, sometimes I experiment. I open a project and I'm like, okay, let's see what comes out. But most times I'm feeling like, okay, I want to do like a randomish sequence or something like this, and I want to make a spaced out sequence. I want to make a big roomish type of synth or something like that, and I try as hard as I can to fulfill that need or whatever, you know. I try really to focus on a specific type of thing that I want to do at the moment. And the arrangement part is, I mean, my arrangements are not too crazy or too creative. Like, they are pretty simple.
That's work,
why,
which is the most important.
It's why the arrangement part is pretty easy and fast for me. It's more about getting the idea fast, doing the arrangement, hear the track a lot, and then work a bit on the mix. And that's pretty much how I work. So I work very fast. When I'm inspired, I work very fast. I can be like 2 months without making music or something, but when I'm in the moments and I'm feeling it, I work really fast. And it's funny because you three are mostly hardware stuff, but besides Robin, I think Robin likes to work on software a lot as well.
I like both. Yeah, I do a combination of both.
Same here.
Yeah, but I feel like you said that for you on the digital side of things, it's really hard to make stuff happen fast. I feel like the hardware part is much more time consuming than the digital part. That's why I'm a bit afraid of working with hardware stuff. And I had this conversation with Gustavo tons of times, and that's why I tried to keep myself. Like, I had the Evolver because I knew that I was going to like the Evolver, and I'm thinking about the next one, but I'm being very careful about the next one because I don't want to like get trapped on a scene like I'm.
I think Arthur is turning into a robot
or something to finish a track with that scene or something like that. I'm really afraid of entering that loop or something.
Okay, well, you made a point that no, you're fine now. Yeah. I think you're fine. Yeah. No, I think you made a good point of saying, you know, your process. It's about the speed, you know, about being fast. Yeah. I think it's a really important thing because the thing that would be slowing me down is you know, the amount of options inside the box, and you know, you know, sort of the postponing of making choices, you know. That's the thing that slows me down, and it's not the tools. You know, the tools don't matter to me. You know, anything that produces noise is fine with me to fool around with. But it's just the fact that there are so many options. That is the thing that slows me down. And it's good that you say that you have like recs saved and
It's
kind
smart.
of your building blocks already sort of in place, so you can recall them whenever you need them. I think that's a really important thing. That speeds up your process, and that's a very smart thing to do when you're working in the box.
Yeah, and you limit yourself as well, because you already
Yeah.
have those racks which you want to use.
With the sound that works
yeah.
for you. That's like part of the sound as well that you have. So yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I think in the end it's just a little bit the way you're used to work. Like for me,
the funny
it's
thing with the rects.
and
I think I'm lagging a lot because I'm hearing like with a 10-second delay or something.
Okay.
more or less depends on the time. Sometimes you are flowing, other times it lags a little bit.
Yeah, if there's a way you can
but
get.
keep going, guys. Keep going.
Yeah. If there's a way you can wire up your computer somehow, that might make a difference. But before you were okay, so maybe it's just a temporary, dip in your speed. I don't know. Anyway, let's move to Gustavo then, because Arthur told us that you had numerous discussions about the hardware versus software process.
Yeah.
You do a lot of both, and I certainly see a lot of hardware going on behind you. So
When are you finally gonna get rid of that Buchla thing that you never use?
I don't know, man. Maybe one day when I'm really old and tired,
exactly.
and blind and deaf, I'll just sell it to someone. No, that's an interesting part. I don't have that much gear nowadays, actually. It's much more cables than anything. But I've arrived to the same conclusion. I don't like to have too much stuff. The more I have, the more I get lost, because I cannot decide myself. Okay, I want this sound. I want that. I want that sound. So I've been, since the beginning of the pandemic, I've been downsizing a lot, actually. And for me, it's faster to work on the hardware because I'm used to the hardware. I guess if I was used to the computer side of things, I will think it will be faster. But yeah, me talking to Artur about hardware, software, it's me trying to have more Portuguese people buying gear so that I can speak about gear and share ideas about gear and do stuff. But in the end, for me, it's whatever fits you. It's a tool in the end.
In the end, it's just the tools that
it's a tool.
Need to serve a purpose. Yeah.
The only thing that I will normally say, and from my few years, not that much compared to you guys, is that only thing that matters is, do you have fun with the thing that you have in front of you? And if I'm having fun, I'll keep it. If I'm not having fun or not using it, I'll just sell it to anybody else who wants to buy a cheaper piece of gear or something like that. But then again, I'm also like Artur. I want to be fast, and I'm also normally fast doing my stuff. If it takes too long, I lose interest on things.
Yeah, welcome to the club of people who get easily bored.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about you?
Well,
yeah, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah.
You're great.
Did you plug in your wire or something?
no, I lowered the quality of
No,
the
it's
camera.
fine. But it's
and
better.
I turned on and telephone as well. So
Yeah, quit your torrents, man.
Yeah. The torrents, man. The torrents.
The BitTorrents. Yeah, exactly. No, but I get that. Like, either hardware or software, they are just tools that need to serve a certain purpose. And in the end, it's what you're most comfortable with using, to achieve what you want to achieve. Like, here I have some hardware, I don't have a lot. But the hardware that I do have is very, very well chosen, and often also very, very effective in what I want to achieve,
You recently got the FM, the Digitone, right?
Yeah, well, that's a whole story in itself. I mean, I've been using, as you know, lots of hardware for decades. And back in the day, I used to have a Yamaha DX7 for a short while, and I never learned how to program it because it's a shitty thing to program. So I never used FM, and then when I finally got the Digitone, it was like a whole new part of synthesis world that opened up to me, like all the old Jan Hammer, Miami Vice style sounds and all came to me, and all that other stuff. And so I'm making a lot of music now with just the TR-909, the analog rhythm, and the Digitone. So it's a small setup, but again, it's effective, and I do the processing in the box. I mean, I'd love to, get something like an Audient mixer, maybe, like a mixing console one day, and throw everything on there. But for now, I'm happy to process everything in the box, and I get really interesting results.
So all these machines you mentioned, they all have an internal sequencer. Do you run them on their internal sequencer, or do you program everything from your DAW? Like
right now, the internal sequencing, but I want to experiment with the Digitone to run it from an external sequencer as well, because you can do some different patterns, and you can control a lot more envelopes in the Digitone externally. Like if I make an Ableton clip, I can draw in 16 different envelopes that finally manipulate the Digitone in many different ways. So I really want to dive really deep into what's possible there. Yeah,
because the Electron also have the the features in the sequencer which are hard to mimic, I guess, with
correct.
Like the step lock stuff and everything.
Yeah. It's once you get used to that, and I'm a little bit of a Electron, fan or fanatic, whatever you want to call it. And once you start using that, almost all the sequencers feel bad or feel like, this is not fast enough. I cannot do P-logs, which is like I can just program on this step an LFO, something for an LFO, an envelope, or anything like that. And
I love the LFOs, either in Electron, but I also use them in Ableton, I put LFOs on a lot of stuff just to make it a bit more alive, a bit more random. Even if it's only very, very slightly, but it just adds, yeah.
An interesting thing is I don't have any of my gear connected to the computer in terms of USB or MIDI at all.
Yeah. So you're using it differently than I do.
Yeah, I know those benefits, and I talked to you many times about it, which is I would love to have more LFOs to Electron stuff, but for some reason I just can't cope with sending stuff from here to there. Maybe I'm lazy. I think that's the reason. I'm lazy to just do it.
Sending envelopes from Ableton to hardware, that does take up more time because you have to set it up.
Yeah, but for example, I know Artur way to convince him to buy a piece of gear is to let him know that there's an editor for the computer to use it, and that's why you got the Evolver. And I told you it works like a breeze. It opens way more stuff.
But Evolver is a nice syntax.
It's crazy.
It's simple but really nice, I think.
Yeah. No, but it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that you can control your gear via Ableton Live and add up more stuff, like more envelopes, LFOs from Ableton, which they have cool things, and control them differently than with your hands or their internal modulation inside. Yeah.
But regarding that, I have, for example, going back to Electron, I've never used Overbridge. And I also I don't miss it. I don't see the Electron gear as like a plug-in into Ableton or something. I like to draw like envelopes in the Ableton clip, but I'm not interested in using Overbridge somehow. I don't know why, but it's never drawn to me.
I mean, I
agree.
only have a sync basically, and it's as I told you, it's the Evolver. And with the Evolver, I mean, you kind of really need to have the thing, the internal,
editor.
the editor to use it fast and the way I usually work, because it's a pain in the ass to program that stuff with
the hardware. Yeah, okay.
It's horrible. It's horrible. I'm sorry, Dave Smith, but it's horrible what you did there with the interface.
I mean, it's nice because it's very portable and all that stuff. So, it's okay on that part, but yeah, for live jams and all, I mean, it's not the worst probably, but it's not the best either. But yeah, that's why I really needed to use the editor on that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I must say that, we started the conversation like maybe slightly into the hardware versus software approach, but to be honest, these days,
both is good.
No. That of course. But the thing is that there's so many bridges between the two worlds these days. Like they used to be very separate domains, and now it's very possible that to make a setup which consists of instruments from both ends, and they beautifully talk to each other all the time.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, like one of the biggest myths, like people say, the digital stuff, blah blah blah. Most of my Euro rack is digital, and I love it. And it mixes quite well. It's insane what it can do. So.
Yeah, and there's always, if you buy some hardware, there's always somewhere in some country a nice person who has spent his time building some kind of interface to
coding something.
To make it talk to the computer.
And then coding.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a beautiful thing about the community these days. All these things are just made by some enthusiast, and then they share their stuff, and you can use it freely. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I was reading the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I also love the easel. Yeah. After many years, I got one. Yay.
Okay, where is it?
But you have that also a certain card on it or stuff like that.
Yeah, whatever it's there over there. Yeah, I bought a thing for it, which I'm very happy with it, and
because the easel is like typical West Coast synthesis, but that card you said it had VCOs on it or something.
It's a VCS3 voice basically. Licensed by EMS, done by a Belgian dude.
A Greek Belgian guy, yeah.
Greek-Belgian guy, Constantine from Portobello Labs. And man, it's amazing. It adds a little bit more to that thing. I cannot spend euros on bucle craziness. I wish I could, but I can't. Or I don't have them to spend. So I thought, why not buying something like that in the end? But I've been using it pretty much on all my music since I got it. It's basically rhythm, DAT, DFM, and I'm using my modular just to process sounds, which is a little bit sad in a way.
But it's also fine, if it serves the purpose,
It's totally fine. That's a personal problem of mine, which is like, I hate to spend money on stuff and then not using it, It's like, I spend money on this and now I'm not using it. So I'm like, but in the end I have to think, if I ever do a live act or anything, I most probably will not take the easel with me to a club, for sure.
Just put it on your rider.
That's it. What I will do, it'll be on the right.
With the card, with the card as well.
The card I can't take. The card I can't take.
1,000 details, technical rider, 1 bottle of champagne, and a booklet easel.
Yeah. Just like who's this dude who asked for this kind of stuff? But nonetheless, I do enjoy having the modular as it is right now, because I know it will serve the purpose of playing live with it. But yeah, I've been super happy with it, and I don't know. I think it's those kind of instruments that you end up loving or hating it. When I bought it, I was like, if I hate this shit, I'm gonna fuck. I just like I even thought like if I hate this instrument, I'm going to be super sad with it. But no, it didn't. It did not happen. It sounds amazing, and well, I'm happy with it. Whatever. What can I say? I'm just happy with
Indeed,
it.
it sounds very good. You showed me some tunes with it, and it sounds very, very nice.
But I don't want to be the typical dude. Oh, now I'm bucla. No, that's not my thing. No, but yeah, it's a fun instrument. It's a really fun, different instrument that obliges you to play with it. If you just leave it in, if you just do a patch and leave it in, it sucks. If you start to play with it live or real time, it goes crazy.
Yeah, that's what it's actually designed for. It's a performance instrument.
Performance instrument. That's it.
Yeah. So how do you incorporate it in your sort of rigid techno structures then? So do you somehow sequence it or time it in together with the stuff you've got going on, or do you actually perform things over top your rhythms and stuff like that? How do you approach it?
Well, I do both ways. Sometimes I just, typical jamming with stuff. Okay, I got here a loop, or I got here something going like the golden loop, or whatever we want to call it. And I say, okay, cool, now I can develop this like in an arrangement. Sometimes I do first drums, whatever, and then I overdub me playing the bucla, which is, you can get more out of it. Other times I just try to do everything at the same time, and which will make me do tons of errors or sleeping up sliders I don't know where, and it's fun all the same. So I try to do both things, but I do enjoy more having that hectic craziness going on and try to mute a kick and do something with the bucla and then whatever. I don't know. I find it more what it is, perform on it. That way. Only thing that it's a little bit harder to control, it is levels on it. It can get very crazy. It can completely shadow a track just with the bucla. But other than that, it's fine. It's like every, the first few weeks, months, I just spent like practicing, just like when you're trying to learn to drive or playing tennis or whatever to get better at it. It's what I've been trying to do with it, and now it feels better somehow.
Yeah.
The Evolver also has that problem. Sometimes it gets too loud, especially when you're playing around with the filters and the feedback thing. It gets super crazy.
You get spikes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's dangerous.
Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it can really fuck up a recording, which is
in your
annoying.
ears. And in your ears as well.
Yeah. Well, depend on the volume that you use, but yeah, I agree. But it's fun in the end, man. Even though all those mistakes that happen, I don't know. I personally love the mistakes. I think the mistakes, it's what do the music interesting somehow or different.
Well, the thing with mistakes is, I guess, that they sound like mistakes to you because the machine is doing something unintentional to you, but it might actually sound pretty exciting to the listener who doesn't have a clue about what you were trying to achieve,
Yeah, they don't know that. And if it is true, these days I even, if I listen to mistakes in the recording, I really might end up using that, mistakes and artifacts, that sounded like completely not as I intended, but ended up like something really cool, and that then ended up in a track,
Yeah, I mean, I like, the performance instrument style of working has something to it, because you give up some of your control, and you have basically the machine making some of your decisions, in a way. And exactly. and I like to be on that little sort of balance between expressing yourself and having the machine kind of do something in return to give you. It is not really actual feedback, but it is something like a play between the musician and the machine, And of course you can like what you call mistakes, like you can get things out of control and out of hand and be completely sort of besides the thing that you were trying to achieve, it can get so much out of control that it's sounding like out of context. But at the same time, the challenge is to do just enough to get that sort of unpredictability into the mix, and then still have some kind of control. And I really enjoy being on that little balance, between
balance.
Yeah. I think at least for me, in terms of emotion, because this is a little bit of an emotional thing happening as well. I think that also that's for me, it's a little bit of adrenaline and scary place, but at the same time exciting. That makes
the
it
element
exciting.
of surprise.
To progress and to keep going. Expecting the unexpected or some stuff like that. That's what gives me pleasure to play live, actually. It's the same thing. I like to have a little bit of control, but I also love to let the machine also take a little bit of control. Not very crazy, because if it gets completely crazy.
Yeah, but you can let it go crazy within a certain frame.
Range, frame.
That's why I really love to. I'm talking now about composing music. I really like to use note randomizers and all that stuff.
Okay.
Because every time I export, it will sound different. The notes and the sequence, it will always sound different. And I really love that surprise factor. Like, okay, on the break, it sounded different the last time that I exported, and now it sounds different again. And it's funny. I really like to work with randomizers, even for drums and whatnot. I really like to get some surprises. For example, there is this note generator random thingy for Max for Live. It's called Swarmulators, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
And totally randomizes the notes. It gets super crazy, but I really like to use that on hats, for example, and then have some random hats going on. And every time I export that file, it will sound different. And I really like that. It's like, okay, I want you to play these sounds, but play them as you want. So And
then people come to you like, wow, man, how did you program those heads in that track? And then, wow,
So one thing that I would be interested to know, Arthur, is so since it gives you a different result every time you export it, as you said, do you then do multiple versions and basically curate the ones that you are most satisfied with, like? Because it can be so different that it's also going in the wrong direction or in the direction you don't like. So do you do multiple exports and then choose the one that you like best? Is that how you approach it, or do you just accept what the machine does?
No. I like random sequences and random things throughout the track, but I like to control the chaos a bit. For example, I like to have an interval, like between these notes and these notes, you can randomize whatever you want. Like with a mod snake, for example, the sequencer, you can select which notes you want to randomize, then put a randomizer from Ableton after, for example, and then a scale, for example, and you have like a random sequence, but it's controlled in some way. But when I'm exporting, I export like 5 versions, and
that's what I mean. Yeah,
and I select the one that I like the most. But nowadays I'm doing that a lot. Like, actually, I'm worried that my music starts to get a bit the same always, because I'm always doing this, the randomizer thing and whatever. I mean, like, straight sequences are boring me nowadays. That's why maybe I'm exaggerating a bit with the random stuff, but I have fun. That's what matters the most.
But it's fun, man. It's always fun. Like, a big part of my work as well, it's about randomization, control randomization. I used to be like you, but what I did is I will record like 5-6 stems of the same thing going random, and I'll just mute which ones I want. So I did not have to render every time. But I think it's quite awesome, randomization for music producing, composing in a way. I do it a lot when I'm stuck on, like, I don't know what kind of notes that I want. I just random, like I do it on the modular tones, randomize. Okay, this fits. I just change one here and there, one note here, one note there, and it's totally fine.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I like it. I do enjoy it because it's also a fast way of getting something immediately as well.
Yeah. I
put
saw here a
the
question.
machines to work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And actually, me and Gustavo had this conversation here about this randomizing note stuff because there is, by the way, there is a really cool piano sampler by Felt Instruments. It has a weird name that I don't remember, but I don't know. But it's a really cool. The samples are really cool, and you have a lot of options there and whatever. And I tried to use that piano sampler and use the Stoor modulators to randomize the notes, and I kind of got a really nice piece of music, random piano notes with some reverb and reverse reverb and whatsoever. And we had this conversation about the ethics of music or whatever, something similar. Do you remember?
Yeah, we were talking about, is this really music? Because this was completely done by random stuff. I just said random.
But it sounded good. It sounded good, you know. But
Well, you know, I have an opinion about that because I think it's fine and it is music because eventually, you can have a bunch of machines or a bunch of randomizers spitting out notes and have basically the compositional part taken care of by not you but by a machine. But in the end, you as an artist are the curator and you're stepping in at the moment where you make the choice. Okay, this part makes sense to me, and this other part is just too random or it doesn't make sense to me. So you're making, you're basically the curator. You're making a selection in which, in the sort of the arsenal that the machine comes up with, and you choose just the bit that sort of conveys the emotion or that conveys the idea or catches your interest. So in the end, it's a human deciding. So I think it counts as music. What do you think, Robin?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Because you're the one who decides, So then you're the no matter what the machines have done in advance, you are the human element that decides, what eventual what the outcome is in the end, So absolutely.
Yeah, but it creates this conversation which I really like, what is what is really music and all that stuff. I really like to have these conversations.
Well, if you think about it like that, you could also say if you use like a complex oscillator or something on some synth, you can almost how it works, right? So even if you have the system in your head, okay, this should be doing this and that should be doing that. If you start modulating the hell out of it, there is a point where you can no longer predict what's going to happen. So in a sense, working with very complex patches is pretty much the same as almost random. It's like you lead it to a certain area where you can expect a certain result, but then in the end you're just deciding, okay, this is what I keep and this is what I'm going to ditch. So whether that's whether it's a machine spitting out notes for you or the actual sound itself, I think it's the same process, because you are putting the machine to work. You're setting it up to do something in a certain area or a certain domain, and then you basically stop tweaking it when you think, okay, now I arrived in a spot where I like it. You're basically curating the machine as much as you are curating a random note machine.
Yeah. No, I agree, because in the end it's always about your decisions, and machine is still not deciding for yourself. Like, okay, I'm going to keep this one. You shut up. No, we haven't arrived to that point yet. But I don't think it's wrong at all. It's once again, it's a tool. It's a tool, and as much as you can press random, in the end, it's what you decide to be the outcome. So for me, I will never say it is not music. It is music all the same, because it was you deciding it. And random stuff can be really cool, man. Can achieve stuff that you will.
That's
not
what I wanted to say. There's a track called Gans Graf from Oud Dekker. Well, if you listen to that, that's let's say that it's very random,
Yeah.
and it's still a great track,
Yeah.
So random can be very interesting.
And the thing is, how many people will listen to that track and it will know that was done randomly?
Yeah, correct.
That's
Well,
also the
I'm,
thing.
I'm pretty sure also in the case of what the stuff that they do is pretty much what we just described, just driving machines to the edge and having the machines come up with all kinds of
They do their thing and then,
variations and stuff,
Yeah.
and then in the end decide what is going to be used in the track and what is not going to be used. I just saw something about Turing machines, and Sander brought it in. I think you wanted to respond to that, right, Arthur?
Yeah,
Where was
I
it?
was actually familiar with Turing machines. Maybe that's a bit lost in translation for me or something.
Okay, so Turing machine, but yeah, that's the one. It's a sequencer. It's a random sequencer inspired on Alan Turing's algorithm to decipher German messages on the World War II, and someone took that algorithm and made it into random nodes and steps, triggers, speeding machine, which it's amazing. And for techno stuff, it works quite well, actually.
Already noted here.
And actually, the worst part is I sent you a Max for Live Turing machine that I bought to you a few weeks ago, man. You have it on the computer.
A few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I bought it and I gave it to you to try out because it's
try out.
Yeah, because it's really cool. No, but the dude deserves the dude. It's a very cheap thing on it's called encoder audio. This dude does a lot of Max for Live inspired gear into Max for Live, a lot of randomization and stuff like that. And his Turing machine Max for Live thing, it's super good. It works really well, and as well, you can control it quite a lot. You can say, I want this range of notes, this range of octaves, this amount of steps. You can control it, and it will speed. It can do two things. Either you're happy, you lock it. Either you're not happy, you can leave it, and it always speed random stuff as long as it plays. It's a good.
I'll give it a try. For sure.
You like it for sure.
Yeah, I think Rudolph says marbles is fun too. That's a mutable instruments thing that kind of, it's not the Turing machine thing, but it does spit out random notes, and then at some point you can decide you can just loop them and freeze the generated sequence.
Yeah. Do you have it?
So many. Yeah, but it's in a rack where the power supply is dead, so I'm unscrewing it right now. Yeah, I'm unscrewing the rack because I needed clouds. I have one rack with just mutable instrument stuff, and I wanted to use clouds the other day for a project, and so I've started to dismantle it and rearrange it to working power supply racks anyway. It's a wonderful instrument as well. The marbles.
The marbles, yeah.
Yeah.
Also exists for the computer as well. If you get that VCV rack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once you really start loading up stuff in there, it starts to eat quite a lot of CPU.
Yeah.
That's the only disadvantage with it.
Yeah, you need a powerful computer to use VCV racks if you do crazy racks. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's a good way to find out whether modular synthesis is something for you before you make the plunge.
Absolutely.
Before you make the plunge and buy, invest sell your car and get into modular. It's better to try VCV first.
Sell your car, sell the house, sell the I don't know.
I wish I knew that before. Well, I knew that. On my time, it didn't exist, so I was like, I'll have to sell my kidney to get this. So.
Well, Gustavo, you can always sell your chair.
Yeah.
It's quite old, like.
Oh, actually, Arthur is sitting in. I feel like this sort of generation gap.
Are both of you? Have you been a rally duo, like in rally car racing or something? Because you both have like a rally car chair or something like that.
Well, I drive trucks, man. I drive trucks.
Okay.
No, but this is very easy to understand. Look, and Joachim knows this very well because he has one of the chairs that I would love to have, a very good office chair.
Yeah, the Herman Miller one.
Like a Herman Miller Iron costs a lot of money. And this will sound stupid because I have expensive stuff there, which makes us not much sense. But this kind
you
of
just
chair,
don't want to spend any money on stuff that doesn't make sound. That's basically the story.
basically that. And this is not as beautiful, but it's also quite comfy in a way, and it's way cheaper. But I decided that the next thing that I'll get with my money will be a nice Herman Miller chair. Because this one is old and warranty is dead, and well, it goes to my wife or something, and that's fine.
It's going to be your new kitchen chair, kitchen table.
Could be, you know, like the father at home kids. This is my chair. Nobody sits there. No, but it's nowadays it's the cheaper stuff, cheaper with quality stuff you can get.
The ratio in terms of ratio,
which is comfy, gets your back. I have a lot of back problems, so it keeps me a little bit straight. Well, it is what it is. But yeah, I know it has that gamer, streamer, rally driver aspect. But well, man, who cares? It's I don't care about the aesthetics of this thing. I just want to have my back.
Of course.
More or less okay. And I think it's the same.
Sure. And I'm also a gamer, so it makes sense.
Me too, yeah. Because I'm a gamer, so yeah, this is a cool thing to own. It used to be. Now I'm going older, and I'm like, no, I want a comfy, good-looking chair. You know. Like, no.
Fantastic. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, but by the way, we're talking about the VCV stuff and everything. I do believe that nowadays people have much more choices and ways to experiment with that. There's also a cool new stuff that I've tried out the first version because they were offering it. It's from a company called Cherry Audio. I don't know if you guys know it or not. Cherry Audio has a very good modular environment, which works as VST as well, and way more lightweight than VCV rack, and also has a ton of I think they reached the 1,000th module there.
I think I've heard from it. Let me look it up.
And that's also a very cool thing for people who are thinking about selling a kidney or selling a lung or the house or the wife or whatever. They can experiment before committing to this. Because this is very fun and everything, but in the end, it's a luxury.
I think I know this. A good friend of mine, Joachim, you know him as well, Bas, a good friend of us. He's using this. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And he's really happy with it.
Cool. I'll check it out. I've never.
Cherry Audio.
Got into modular as well, even on the digital space. I never got into it, but I should.
I tried at least to bring you here, but you're like, no.
Yeah, the company that makes Chromophone also actually just released a modular thingy with their products. I don't remember their name.
AAS, Applied Acoustic Systems.
Systems. Yeah, exactly. They also released their modular thing like a couple of weeks ago. I will give it a try. Yeah. It sounds cool. Sounds cool. So yeah.
Well, it saves you money, man, which is also important, I think, at some point. And yeah, but it's cool stuff to try. And if you don't mind using the mouse and experiment with stuff, and if you like to experiment, it's way more friendly than Reactor and stuff like that. You don't need to program anything. So, yeah.
Does it have a community like Reactor and Max NMSP?
Yeah,
okay.
I think so. Yeah, I think Cherry Audio developed...
Applied Acoustic Systems?
No. Cherry Audio.
The other, okay.
Yeah, Cherry Audio, they have a community, and they are... Actually, this is quite cool as well. And we were talking about this in the beginning. they do really like to have a community, so people tell them what they would like to have in that
They're
app.
open to feedback. Yeah.
So they
from their customers. That's really good.
So they develop for their customers. Like, I would love to have this, sample and hold that does envelopes as well, and they try to do that and implement on their thing, which is awesome nowadays, to have this very direct communication between company and users. So yeah,
I think it's a smart thing to do. Absolutely.
Here's an interesting question from Spice Weasel.
I saw it.
Hi,
Yeah.
Spice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what's up, Spice? When somebody refers to a modular build, what is the opposite? Like a modular setup as opposed to what else? It's like fixed routing, that's the opposite. Like, there are synths which have no options to reroute the fixed routing, basically.
Yeah.
So normally it would be like an oscillator going to the filter into an amplification section or whatever. There are many different ones possible, but that is a fixed routing, and there's nothing you can change about it. There might be ways to modulate it, but it's never able to switch places between the different elements. And if it's modular, basically all the functions are separate, and you can route them in any way you want. I think that sums it up, right?
Yeah. Spot on.
Yeah.
No, yeah. It's both of them are interesting worlds.
That's what I think as well.
Does the matrix brute count as modular? Yes, I think so, because it has that's the one with the patch panel, right?
No, I think that's the very big one with the pads for matrix modulation.
Yeah. So
it's modular somehow.
Well, it is modular because you can it has a modulation matrix. Yeah, so there's a way to reroute the routings there.
Yeah. No, I think in the end it's just another how to say, another way of doing things. Both of them are similar. One of them gives you more options, which can be daunting somehow.
Yeah. It depends a lot about what you want out of the instrument that you are talking about. If you want to be super creative and figure out the most weird fucked up sounds, maybe modular can be a good way to find those. If you want something a bit more strict, that you already know more or less how it will sound, maybe a fixed architecture synth can work better for you.
Actually, I mean, it's a shame that it's not possible not really possible in assembled modular synths to use matrix patching, but I think matrix patching as an idea is absolutely phenomenal. It's amazing, and for ages it was only available on the Synthi, the EMS Synthi.
EMS
my dream synth.
yeah, and it's so powerful, man. I mean, it's really, really powerful. Having a matrix, and now some companies have been bringing it back, like the Erica synth and the
No, and Buchla has a matrix modulation thing, a module on their E series, for example.
Okay.
Which, well, it's kind of expensive, but it's the same principle. And more and more it's coming out on many synths. The chance that you can route whatever you want. Okay, you cannot patch anything externally. That's fine, but you can decide which way you want the signal to go. I think that's amazing. I think that gives a lot of value to an instrument when you spend money on it.
Yeah, I think so too.
For sure.
Yeah. Like Microfreak Arturia. Yeah. Microfreak, for example. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's.
We were talking about this the other day.
Yeah. It's a very cheap synth, Microfreak, which has a matrix modulation system, which makes it the core of that synth somehow. So yeah, it's coming back in a way, or it's becoming more natural somehow. It depends. Yeah,
it's just that the panels are really expensive. To have a panel, a matrix patch panel, is one of the most in those instruments is one of the most expensive parts of this. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Plus the programming of all of that as well. It's exhausting.
Joachim, you have a Synthi, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've had it for ages, man. I bought it for really, really cheap, but it's still there, and I would never get rid of it. It's I mean, every time I turn it on, it still gives me things that I didn't expect were possible on it. Yeah, cool. And it is because of the matrix system, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, even though you think you've tried, I mean, the thing is, when you own a synth for a long time, you kind of develop your own way of using it. And the cool thing about this place is that other people come in and they want to use the Synthi because, you know, it's these days it's just an incredibly expensive thing to have, you know, and not many people buy one, even if they're, you know, they're not very often on the market anyway. So they want to try it, and then they start doing things and they come up with things, and I think, what? Is this my Synthi? Even though
that's funny that you say that, because then because it's so versatile.
Yeah.
Everyone's first impression of the Synthi might be very different. Like when I played with the Synthi, you know, in your studio, I had a certain impression. But then I think one time after that you were doing something with it, which was completely different from what I got out of it. So then my impression changed a whole lot, because I heard completely different stuff from the machine.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about when you took over the Ross box to my studio.
No, I'm talking about it was on that it was during those sessions that we did, but on the first day you let me play with the Synthi, and I played with the Synthi a little bit, and I got some sounds out of it and all. And then a while later you were doing stuff with the Synthi, and that was completely different than what I got out of it. So then my first impression completely changed, because, you know, because of the different sounds that I heard when you touched it, you know.
Yeah. But I would say that it happens every. Well, yeah, it's true, but it happens every time somebody works the Synthi here. You know, it's like they patch something in, and even fairly simple patches can lead to incredible variation.
Have you tried the digital counterparts? Or no?
I've tried several ones. Yeah, I think there at some point. That was just to check out whether it was going to be interesting and somehow as versatile as the original. Just out of curiosity, I tried them, and I think there was a French one at some point. That was years ago, though. That got it pretty close, but again, you know, if you have the real one sitting around,
but have you tried the Studio One?
No.
No, okay. I work with that a lot, and I really, really, really like it. Really like it. It's funny because I'm constantly saying, "Oh fuck, I'm tired of the Synthi. I think it's finally time that I'm tired." And then I open just one last time, and I get a new idea going on again, and I fall in love with that synth every time I use it. It's really nice. I really like it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it says something about the builders of machines like that. You know, that if you can build something that after years of use can still give you new ideas and inspiration, and can surprise you. You know, I mean, an instrument should be playful. It should be encourage you to play around with it and to experiment and stuff like that. And sometimes machines like that come along, you know, that just are unexhaustible, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
And the Synthi is a good example for sure.
Yeah, you need to buy one or two. They go for 25K nowadays on auction.
Easy.
It's crazy.
Easy. You can sell that couch. You sell that couch, the TV.
Everything in here. a whole
starting
gaming
point.
setup and whatever.
Yeah.
But the Syntrix is like 3K or something. No, 2K.
Yeah, and it's a good one. It's a very good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, but it's not meant as a clone of the Synth. Yeah, they mentioned on their website the interface is a bit the same, but the sound is not. And there's another brand called Portabella from Germany. They make like pretty accurate clone, but that's already like 5K or something already.
Yeah.
But the Portabella Synth is like that's like really aimed to be a hardware clone.
Yeah.
That's still way more affordable than an original one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Like 25K, like I wouldn't mind if I had the money, but 25K, it's crazy. In good state, of course, like fully working.
Yeah.
Awaiting the Behringer Cinti knockoff.
No.
I would wait for the cheaper knockoff of the Behringer
one. Yeah. I would love to see that. I would love to see someone do a cheaper knockoff than Behringer and say, hey,
from Behringer, yeah.
Yeah, hey man, this is Berigo. Berigo.
Berigo.
And now you have it here. No, but it's amazing to have those machines around. Like sometimes I wish I will be older somehow, so that I could live you guys' era a little bit when those machines were cheaper than nowadays. But,
somehow it was the golden age because people were getting rid of their analog junk, you know.
Yeah.
To go to the DAWs,
Yeah, and everybody wanted to switch to computers, and all those classic synths, or I mean the synths which are now called classic synths, were basically traded for very low prices, and now they've just become insanely expensive. Maybe let's talk about beats. I just saw an interesting one.
I saw one too.
From Beat Builder. What's up, Beat Builder?
Hey, Beat Builder.
A good gear well suited for polyrhythms. What do you think, Robin? You use polyrhythms?
I don't know if I'm using polyrhythms. I mean, polyrhythms. Is it like having the same hi-hat programmed in various different
time signatures or
different signatures in one arrangement, basically.
Good question.
Like time signatures.
All the Electron gear is capable of.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Then it probably relates to the question before that, which is the most inspiring drum machines for the guest and why. Yeah, for me,
that's a good. Yeah, let's do that one. Yeah.
For me now, it is definitely the analog rhythm, and I mean I love my TR-909. It makes amazing TR-909 sounds, which is an advantage. But the disadvantage is it only makes TR-909 sounds, you know, and you have to process all those sounds to make it like really, really great. So yeah, I mean the analog rhythm, you really have to dive into it. But in my opinion, the analog rhythm is a great rhythm synthesizer, so you can synthesize your own sounds from scratch. And then because you can load in samples in it, I made a sample library for the rhythm from my TR-909. So I have those sounds in my rhythm as well, and I sometimes layer them as well, you know, and then it becomes extra powerful. And yeah, so for me personally, my workhorse to go to would be the analog rhythm here for now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an insanely highly tweakable. It's like you said, it's not really a drum machine. It's a drum synth. It's a
drum synthesizer. Yeah. But it doesn't work for everyone. You know, I know someone who.
I know someone. I know someone too
who traded it in for a machine drum, which is also great. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing with the rhythm for me was I have a lot of analog drum machines. You know, like the whole Roland series and some drum synths from other brands, and you know, so basically that territory is already covered. You know what I mean? Like the flavors I got from the rhythm were not giving me so much stuff that I wasn't able to do. I mean, yeah, it's not the same, but the same similar flavors,
Yeah.
and the other stuff is for me a bit more open ended, multiple more outputs and different flavors, because I mean, in terms of portability, the rhythm beats everything. You can take it on the road, and it's like a whole studio inside a box. But for use in the studio, it didn't really add too much to the palette. So and the machine drum did. That is like a flavor that I didn't have.
And you can go really crazy with the machine drum.
Oh man,
in a good way.
Yeah, and it's also a really good performance instrument as well. With everything pretty much on the surface of the machine. I just sometimes you gel with something and sometimes you don't.
You don't.
And it's not one thing is not better than the other one. But in my situation, the machine drum was a more sort of sensible addition to the arsenal. What about you, Gustavo? Drum machines?
Well, analog rhythm, like Robin, completely. It's my studio brain. Actually, it's I cannot live without that thing. It can do anything. It can be. I even dare to say you can do live acts just with the rhythm and sounding like fully as a track. And it's what I use in all my tracks, in all my lives. I own those boutique Roland machines, which they are super fun. My fingers don't think it's super fun, but nonetheless, it's super cool. I sold them because I was just using the rides for the TR-09, for example. It's like no, and I bought model cycles from Electron. Because it was cheap, and I said, well, this looks fun to take to the sofa or whatever, or as a secondary drum machine for example, a more complex live act. And it's the Electron way of thinking, which I'm already used to. But I will say it's the rhythm for me. I used to have modular drums. I sold them all. I don't know. I think it's useless somehow, unless you want to go... Unless you want to build a fully drum rack. Actually, I did not gel with it. It wasn't for me. And it's too much money to build a drum machine on the modular, which most of the times they're trying to mimic 909s and 808s and 707s.
Yeah.
Like, fuck that. For that, I prefer to buy a 606 or whatever. And I still use sometimes the computer. Ableton Live the drum kits things. I still have a lot of old samples that I created back in the days when I just had a computer. So and sometimes it's quite cool, because then again you have those very cool Max for Live drum only sequencers, which they do crazy stuff to the drums, and you can drive completely crazy things going on there just to add a little sparkle here and there. It is rhythm for me most of the times, especially because it's very easy to do polymeters there, and I love to work with polymeters, as someone said there. I love to do polymeters. For polyrhythmic stuff, it is not the best one. Actually, it doesn't do very well, polyrhythmic stuff. It gets completely crazy. But yeah, that's the one for me. It's rhythm as well.
Nice one. So, and Arthur, you said you were a heavy user of drum racks, Ableton drum racks. Is that what you use for drums as well, or?
I use back when I told you about the racks was the effect rack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. For synths, whatever, drums, even if I have to use, I use the effects racks. When it comes to drums, really, I just use the shittiest drum 909 samples ever that I can get my hands on, and I use them as much.
But do they work?
Yeah, they work.
If they work, then that's fine. Yeah.
There is this saturation now that I showed to Gustavo the last time I was at this place. Yeah. It's called VHS. It's a free assemble for Reactor that somehow makes the simplest 909 samples sound really, really nice. Really, really nice. I use that VHS thing on all the drums for my Axis LP. I use on everything, and I don't know. You really get that. Again, I hate to say this stuff, but you really get that old schoolish feel to the drums. You know, the kicks, it's saturated and all that stuff. It's pretty nice. I really like to use it. Yeah.
It's called VHS. I'm wondering if it's based on the VHS videotape thing. That is the saturation that it does.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. He kind of wants to do something like that. Yeah, and you have like a noise. It's not like, of course, it's not a noise generator. It's like huge samples of noise that you can turn on and off, and you get some artifacts and whatever. It's nice. It's nice. Yeah. You can,
so do you have somehow a collection of kits? Because what I always have a trouble with, and it's also true from when I was trying to work with the rhythm. But it's also true for working with drums inside a DAW. Basically, all the drums that you find in different places, it's sometimes it's a challenge to assemble them into a kit that works as a coherent set. You know.
Yeah.
And with drum machines, it's easier because you basically are working from one machine. It's all got some sort of a flavor which sort of connects the sounds in a way. You know, even though, you know, for example, on a machine drum, they come from different machines or whatever, and but on the more classic drum machines, you know, they are basically completely tuned kits. You know, like they are presented to the user as a coherent set of drums. So how do you go about choosing the right drum sounds for your music when there's so much choice?
Yeah,
you know?
I'm going to be perfectly honest. I only use the 909 kit, like on my since 2 years or something. And I would really like to try some other drums and whatever, but nothing really pops my ear like it should. I mean, kicks I have made recently some kicks out of not based on the 901, like doing with operator and all that stuff, and had some grain delay and all that stuff, and making some cool kicks, but like hi-hats and all that stuff, I only use the 909 ones. Unfortunately, because I'm kind of getting a bit tired of that, you know, I would like to mix it up a bit, but to be honest, I search and search and search. I try to do them. I listen to some drum kits from Ableton and all that stuff, and there isn't much that I like a lot, you know.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But I mean, if I listen to your stuff, it is. Of course, I can hear some of the stuff that clearly represents or is sort of coming from the 909 originally, but it doesn't sound like a 909. You know, it's processed so heavily.
A lot. Yeah.
So how do you?
Sorry.
No, go on. Sorry.
You were about to ask how I process probably.
Yeah. I mean, you told us some of the VHS, but there must be many other ways because.
Like grain delay, like using different types of reverbs and delays and echoes and whatever, to make, like, for example, with the echo from Ableton, making it really really short. The tempo, you know, like it makes a crack instead of a and it creates a really nice sound for the heads. And I like weird different tricks like those, you know, like using some granular effects on the drums itself, and most of times they end up not sounding at all like 909 stuff, but yeah, the original sound, for me to feel inspired to process it further, has to be a 909 most of the time. But I need to change this a bit. I feel like I need to change this a bit.
Well, you can either process it even further or choose a different sound source. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about the 909, you know. I mean, I use the original one, but I always split out the channels and have like a different chain of stuff going on each instrument. And you know, I've done many things where the sound eventually came out sounding like basically completely unlike a 909, but for some reason the sounds are so chunky and full of they have a rich spectrum, so they're very good for processing. There's always something you can do with it, and the parameters on the 909 are pretty limited. Their decays are like, they're not all over the place.
It's like really limited.
It is limited, but it is just enough to get like a really huge variety of sonic material if you start processing them heavily. So it's a very some sounds they just become worse when you process them, but with the 909 for some reason it always holds up, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Sorry, go. No, go, Robin. Go.
No, what I wanted to say, Jochem, in your place you have, what is it?
That's exactly
I think it's
why I
old,
use it. I actually, back when I was...
Yeah. Go ahead.
Mini mo.
Arthur, go first. No worries. Hello?
It's delayed, I
It's
think.
like you can go ahead and...
Okay. No, Jochem, what I wanted to say is that at your place you have this Tascam recorder with separate microphone inputs that have a certain gain, like this really old cheap recorder. And we run the 909 through it, and it gives this really nice distortion over the hi-hats and all.
Mm-hmm. It's
that's one of the things I really liked to process a 909 signal. It really gave this distorted but still really friendly and usable.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know what it is. I sound like a total 909 fanboy, but it's just a go-to machine for me, and it's true for the 808 to some extent as well. But like I said, whatever you do to it, it still holds up, and that's important. It is, the levels are very consistent. Even if you use the accents and stuff like that, it's a type of sound that has basically every instrument in the 909. If you add everything up together, you basically cover the entire frequency spectrum. So there's always, if you use bandpass filters or you use distortion or some kind of resonant type chain, that sort of creates tonality out of the sources, there's always just enough material in the source sound that does interesting things to everything further on in the chain, and that's not true for every drum sound. Some sounds just get degraded or become like this very generic noisy stuff, and for some reason the 909 always stays intact or retains its punch or has a certain impact still.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
Sure. Like the 808 for me, the kick especially is so hard to make it work on a track. So hard. For me, I know people that do it a lot. Like I can hear in some Oscar Malera tracks and Temudo as well. He really does it well. But me, I can't really use an 808 kick properly on at least on the style that I'm doing lately. So
well, how do you say that? It is very tempting to use too much decay on the kick. You think, because especially if you listen on lower volumes, you tend to give a kick more sub or more decay. And especially the
808 doesn't need that.
No, the length the 808 kick can go to is especially if you use it in a rapid succession. Like if you have like an incidental kick, like hip hop style or whatever, then it's fine to have this sort of rumble going on. But if you just use a more sort of straightforward electro or techno pattern, a long 808 kick is just basically swallows the entire bottom end.
I read somewhere that some 808s have the kick, if you put the decay full, to max, that the total length of the kick is 12 seconds.
Okay, I never
Like,
measured that.
What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah.
Amazing.
On some 808s. I mean, like with every 909, every 808 is a little bit the same, and you have different versions, slightly different versions, different calibrated and all.
Yeah,
But
12 seconds. That's like a mid-size warehouse reverb.
Yeah. And then from the machine already,
Yeah.
and then yeah.
That's almost like 8 bars.
Jesus.
Depends on the BPM, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
on our BPMs more or less. But I agree to something. Like I work a lot with 909 samples plus the drum synthesis on the analog rhythm. I found it sounds good to me, but anyway, everything is processed as well. Like all the heads, the things go to be processed. Same with the
Inside the machine, you mean, or outside as well?
I run the kick to the analog hit that I have here, so all kicks go there, and all the rest goes to auto boom and then auto beam. So boom beam computer. Boom beam computer.
well,
and
that's an interesting chain.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to get a BAM, so boom beam BAM computer. But but it's the only way that makes sense to me somehow to make a sound. And then on the computer, I again process it again on the computer, those sounds.
So in your case, Gustavo, do you print the audio with effects, or do you separate them along the way and record them separately?
Well, nowadays I'm trying to record dry ones because I got many complaints about tracks of mine for remixes where people are like, dude, this is full of distortion. I said, sorry, but it is what it is.
I spent several days trying to process one of your remix sounds for a remix for you that gave me headaches, and So yeah.
Well, so basically, I'm trying to what I'm doing is basically since I'm using an RME and they have this very cool software, Total Mix. I can basically and I hate patch bass, and so all my pedals or FX units are connected to my my converter or RME. So I route them internally on Total Mix. So I can record both of the channels, dry and processed. So nowadays I'm trying to record when I remember the unprocessed ones, but usually I always record processed stuff, always.
Yeah, because what you explain is basically just to make it more accessible afterwards, but for the production it doesn't really make a difference then.
No, zero difference for me, because that's the sound that I want. Like, this is the color of sound that I want. It is not the dry one. Like, for dry one, I won't do anything.
But also for remixes, in the end, they should be happy with the sound that you want, that you intended.
It's not your problem.
That's look,
exactly.
I'm going to be very, very harsh. Like, I don't fucking care. Like, that's the sound that made the track. So in a way, dude, be creative. Turn that big synth in a plip or plop or whatever. I mean, I don't know.
I think that's what I did with my remix. That I turned the big synth into a little
Look, your remix came well. Like, I know Artur, for example, as well. He it's a thing. Like, it's the challenge of getting something out of that. I think that's the most important thing. Like, at least for me, in my taste that's the thing. Like, I never like to do a remix which sounds exactly the same as the original one, but you change the kick and the hi-hat.
No, I have the same. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that for me it's a little bit lazy, or like I don't fucking care.
With remix is a bit tricky sometimes, because at least for my personal taste, when someone is remixing me, I like to hear a bit of the original on the remix.
Sure.
But not the same vibe as the original, and it's really hard to hear hear a really nice remix nowadays, in my opinion, at least, because I hear so many remixes that, I mean, for example, you, Gustav, you are a really nice remixer, you know, because you really respect the original and you add your stuff on top and all that stuff, and it's perfect.
Sometimes.
No, from the remixes that I heard recently, please. But
Okay,
many
thank you.
other remixes or as solo pieces of music are fantastic, but as a remix, it's strange, you know, like it doesn't really have nothing of the original, and yeah, it's really. But I mean, I have my opinion.
Wait,
my
it's a matter of
opinion, so
taste, dude.
whatever.
It's a matter of taste.
That,
In
that
the
is,
end,
yeah, that
it's
is true
taste.
as well.
It is not like, no, this is a rule. Like, no, of course
No,
not.
no, no.
But yeah, but for me, like, it makes sense to basically record what is processed. And well, when I remember, I do record stuff because Robin was not the only one complaining about this. So I say, okay, I'll try. You do the same, right, Joachim? You also record things as they sound on the chain, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I basically commit as early as possible in the process, you know, because I like to once I've dialed in the sound that I like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm pretty even though sometimes I can hear like technical problems in there, you know, like maybe something has too much sub and, you know, it's sort of shaking the room, and I know that is not what I want from the sound, you know, but you know, I just still record it because I know it's easily going to be fixed in you know, when mixing or whatever.
Mix, yeah.
So basically, my decision to keep something is when I think the vibe is good, you know, when I think it's an interesting sound and it combines well, or it sits well in a mix, or it, you know, it captures some of the ideas that I had, you know. And I also must say that you know, recording something and committing early is first of all speeding up the process, and even if it does present some problems down the line, you know, I like the whole fixing it up process as well, because again, that also introduces some kind of character to it, you know. I mean, yeah. So it's just a better way for me, because I, you know, just keeping on tweaking things eventually ends up in changing it so much that you lose the original vibe. So I would rather just you know, dial it in quickly, you know, decide, okay, this is what I'm going to go for, and then just make it part of the recording.
Yeah, no, I also have that as well. Like, I don't want to rethink about it, and as much, and at least for me, the more I think, the more damage I do most of the time.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So basically, you dial it in, or you create it on the fly, just based on your intuition and your gut feeling, and that is 9 out of 10 times that's going to do it. You know, that's going to be fine.
Yeah. You take it from there. Yeah.
Do you do the same with the computer-wise? Like, you dial in and it stays?
No, since I work on the digital environment, I have a lot of flexibility in the long term. If anything, when I listen to the whole thing, if something isn't clicking well with me, I can change it very rapidly, and it won't affect a lot the rest of the stuff. Because I work with MIDI, I don't record the stuff that I do. I always keep the things running, the VSTs, the drum kits, whatever. I don't record anything. I know a lot of people that record, but I mean, my computer is decent, so I can just have it playing.
You can afford to keep your can afford to keep everything open as an instrument instead of printing to audio or bouncing. Yeah,
most of the times. Yeah.
But do you? I mean, how do you avoid to get into the rabbit hole too much then? Because if you are keeping all these options open towards the very end, you know, how do you keep yourself from not programming the whole thing to death?
I mean, I have a bit of a punk attitude when it comes to this stuff. Sometimes I know things aren't really perfect, but they work, and I just let them go as they are. You know, which sometimes can be a bit hurtful for the tracks. But I mean, with some tracks, I have this attitude that, okay, it's not sounding like shit. It's not bad. It's decent. It's playable. The loudness is okay. The volume is okay. So okay, the mix is not bad as well. So it's okay. I try really not to overthink things too much. I mean, if the elements are clicking with me, I finish it. If there is one element that's really popping up in my head in a bad way, I try to fix it very quickly and I let it go, you know.
Okay, well then you've basically developed a way to keep yourself from going down rabbit holes and stuff like that.
And I really try to stay. I really try to stay away from that. That's why I'm always very afraid of whenever I have to send a remix or an EP or whatever. Somebody says, okay, but the mix could be a bit better. I'm like, oh, fuck, how will I solve this? I have no idea how to solve this. And I get, when that happens, I get into the loop, you know, that loop of, I don't know what I have to change to make this sound better, and I end up making it sound worse, and
yeah. I mean, I think we've all been there. I mean, this is a recognizable theme for everybody who's ever made music. You know, there is this stage where everything you do is going to be ruining something in the track. You know, you enter,
no matter what you do.
You enter the realm of trade-offs, and at some point. You can improve one sound, but then you think, oh man, it doesn't really sit as well as before, and then you start, pulling some stuff down in another region, and it all becomes such a mess, and then you're basically just fighting. You're making stuff compete with each other instead of having a smooth, coherent thing, and then in the end you decide, okay, well, 30 versions earlier was actually the best version. Just going to go back to that. Do you have a system for saving at some point? Because I usually when I do something, when I finish something in the box, right? Usually it's a very quick process, recording it and committing it to tape, between brackets, and then I basically fix everything else in the box. I sometimes do overdubs, if it's necessary, but pretty much everything that gets recorded is done in real time, and then I basically choose a section to work on to finish as a final mix, and then basically from there I try to be as quick as possible usually. Okay. Because if I spend too much time on it, I might get into into a territory where it wasn't quite. It's sort of ending up as a different thing than I started it out as. So, and I'd rather just ditch the whole thing, and then it's basically whenever I do make an incremental edit, like I change something fundamental about, for example, the bass line or whatever, or some compression setting or something like that, I save it as a version. So when I fuck it up later down the line, I can always go back to where it was, And I mean, small, very, very small tweaks or arrangement tweaks, I'm not bothered of saving too much. But if it's something about how the sounds work together, I definitely make that a version just to, even though the whole thing is the same, it might just be 1 dB here and puts it in a different kind of context or whatever. That will be a version, because down the line that might be an edit that you want to go back to and take out. I also do double plugins. So if one EQ has one setting and I need another little tweak, I just add another EQ rather than trying to re-EQ the EQ that I was happy with before. I just keep stacking them, so I can always take them out or bypass them.
I only do versions when, like, I have some doubts mixing wise, sometimes I have this urge to make some different versions because of some creative parts, like a different sequence or a different pattern on the drums or whatever. But I really try to commit to the stuff that I did initially, and I try to go with it till the end. Mixing wise, if comes the time that somebody tells me, okay, there is a problem with the mix on this one, I try to do some multiple mixes. But as I told you most of the times as well, the initial one tends to be the best. So yeah.
I actually I only do a second version when I need to remix down, so mixing down the track again. What I normally do is I either do like you, Joachim, I just stack stuff and then I just delete back until it's back again where it should be, or I duplicate that audio channel or MIDI channel and I just say version 2, version 3, version 4, and in the end I just see which one makes more sense. But normally I was never a dude of recording like version 29, and no, it doesn't make sense for me. What can make sense is have a little bit of different sounds on the same project and recall them just by unmuting or muting them again. But if it doesn't work in the end, it's a easy delete, enter recycle bin, new one, let's go. I never keep stuff that I don't think it gels or don't think I'm having fun or I don't think it's anything. I just delete it, and just because I know I'll be like 3-4 days thinking about that project and what can I do and what did I do wrong and what can I change, and it becomes a crazy loop that I prefer not to be inside. So
I like to save everything actually, because something might not work now, but in a month or something it might work. That actually it happened this last week. A project that that I hadn't touched in 2 months or something. Now I made it work to a track that I actually like a lot. So yeah, that happens. That probably also happens to you guys as well, no? Or
yeah, coming back to something that you abandoned.
Absolutely.
Yeah, coming back to something you abandoned a while ago with fresh ears can sometimes give you like a spark, and you decide to take it further. That happens sometimes, but to be honest, I enjoy starting things more than rehashing older things.
Yeah. Most of the time, yes. But for example, I'm working on an album now, and the album project is pretty slow. It's like 120 BPM something and very deep. And I also I love to make like proper techno tracks. So right now these days I'm switching a bit back and forth with, composing new techno music, which is, I don't know, 133, 135, something like that. And sometimes go back to the album to be in a different state of mind, to make music which is a bit more calmer, very deep and all. And yeah, I like to. I don't see the album thing as old stuff that I am trying to brush up in a way, but it's just like a side project that I tend to go to once in a while.
Mm-hmm. It's nice to have the both worlds going on,
Yeah,
it's very nice.
What I do is I keep some tracks like for a few days, weeks without touching them, and then re-listen back. And if it's something good there, I'll go. But if after like 2-3 times I listen to that, I said, nah, no good.
And it doesn't click, then it's...
I do prefer to delete them. I know myself very well, and I know that I will let my OCD control all the things. So no, thank you. I already have too many thoughts on my head every day. So go away, start new, start fresh. Something better will come. For sure.
Do any of you ever go into the studio just with the idea to play around with stuff instead of giving yourself the assignment to make a track?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
especially now with the digital,
yeah. And do you record that? Do you record that?
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I press record in Ableton and I start jamming away, and that's what I mentioned earlier. That's how I came up with a lot of things with artifacts and little mistakes, I mean, and then I suddenly have like 20 minutes of mistakes, brilliant, because they are very usable, So that's and let's see.
Beat Builder is back with a question. Do you combine different parts of audio? Yeah, do you combine different parts of audio recorded in a slow evolving jam, or do you just cut a bit out and be finished?
Most of the time it's slow evolving jams. Now
I'm trying to make sense of this. Where do you come? Parts of audio recorded.
Uh,
Oh, okay. I think I got it. So adding audio clips of ours to slow evolving gems.
no, I don't think it's that. I think
I
it's
think
like
he means
you do a long jam and you
different
use
long takes and then stack together as a track.
yeah,
That you
maybe.
take the pieces out of the long takes
Okay.
instead
Okay,
of
sorry.
recording small parts and looping those.
Sorry.
That's how I understood it.
I think so too. Yeah, like if you record like an hour of stuff, and do you use it as basically how it appeared on the timeline, or do you then go in and select different bits and work with those? I think that's what the question is.
Yeah.
Well, my answer would be both.
Yeah.
Both, but nowadays what I do a lot, going back to that question, because I think this is also a little bit related. I've created a nice system, because I used to come to the studio just to jam without making tracks, just having fun, just exploring stuff, experimenting stuff. But I didn't record anything, which is true. I didn't record anything. When this whole pandemic situation started and everything, I started streaming and all that stuff. I said, why not do sample packs for people and stuff? And I've been having quite a lot of fun now recording them as just loops, not like a single session, but trying to record loops. And I've been having a lot of fun with that, because instead of then having to go to a very big stem and try to see whatever I cut from there, I'll have immediately, like, let's say 20, 25, 30 baseline kind of sounds from, I don't know, buccal, modular, rhythm, whatever. So I've been doing that a lot, and I've been reusing those on my tracks a lot, which were made on days where I just, well, I'm always here. So when I'm there, basically, just purely, I just want to see what does this go to, and I don't want to do any tracks. I don't want to commit to an arrangement or anything. So yeah, and that's super fun. I've been having tons of fun doing that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, me too, man. I mean, I just like I do record everything, by the way. So whenever I kind of go into the studio and put down a synth, just with the idea just to see what it can do and explore, and then I do record it, but without any intention to make a track, or to make a piece of music out of it. And very often it becomes a starting point, or it does become a track. But it's the mindset, if you have a mindset of okay, I gotta start something and it needs to be a result somehow. If you abandon that idea, if you just sit down and have fun, even with the knowledge that it might somehow turn up in some track, that you have this sort of completely blank canvas and an open mind that sometimes causes things to happen that you would normally not encounter. You go into territories that you would normally not go into, because you might stop yourself because you think maybe that's not useful, but you never know down the line if it's going to be useful if you stop yourself from doing it. So I think it's for me it's a good way to just have fun, enjoy myself without feeling guilty afterwards if it's just 3 hours of noise. But very often it does end up in something that is eventually useful or usable, or a starting point or an idea or something. So it's basically about just playing around and having the mindset that it doesn't necessarily need to become something.
That's it. Yeah.
So most of the times you just go to the studio just to make sounds without thinking, okay, I have to finish.
Well, even not make sounds, just enjoy the interaction with a piece of gear, and then just listen to how the machine works, how crazy you can get with it, or just exploring the range of an instrument, or just without a purpose at all, just to enjoy the machine and enjoy the moment, and just hear the room rumble with bass or whatever, and just see how far you can push it, try to get into territory where the thing is just almost glitching up or something like that. It's just a really fun way of finding out about what the machines can actually do. So you learn something from it about the machine, but it's also, again, you might end up with something that is useful in terms of sounds that come out of it that can be used in a different context. You can make a kit out of it or something, or you can use a section as a basis of a track, whatever. But without that actual idea, just purely enjoy. It's like a joyride, like taking your car and just drive for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, our generation, like guys like me and Gustavo, Robin, I don't know very well. We didn't have the opportunity to talk many times, but I know more about what Gustavo does. Like, we can be as free to do whatever we want, but there's also the pressure to finish music, to sign a certain EP that you have already scheduled or something, which can be a bit limiting. I mean, I have a lot of fun doing music if I have something scheduled for a certain label. I really like the challenge of working a lot to make that happen, but at the same time, of course, I'm not as free as I could be, So, and Gustavo, I know Gustavo also is in a similar position, but you have your own label and you work mainly with your own label.
Yeah,
you can be completely free to do all that stuff, and must feel really, really nice to.
Well, I actually try to carve out time sometimes just to do that, just because. As soon as something starts to feel like a job for me, I'm quitting.
Yeah. I mean, if I have something scheduled or something, it doesn't feel like a job or any. It really excites me. The challenge. It really keeps me going. So, and I like that feeling a lot. But yeah, at the same time, for example, I would like to explore sometimes more soundtrack-ish stuff, and I don't really find the time to work on that stuff, unfortunately, years to do all that stuff.
I think in the end, it is not easy somehow when you do have a really tight schedule to present stuff, and you are being on that position of you have to deliver, right? You're expected to deliver. Some people do work better on pressure, others don't. I love to work on pressure. It brings me to a different realm of my music somehow. But that's the reason why I created my own label. It's purely my mental diarrhea going on a release, basically. Starting on the names of the tracks and going to the sounds. It's basically that. But I understand what you're saying. But I think it depends on the person. Some people don't cope well when they have pressure and they have to deliver a certain thing. I also think that is not. Mm-hmm. For me, that's something cool, but it's as like a side job. On the other way around, I do also love to go free form and whatever comes out. It really depends on my mood, actually. But yeah, I think it ends up being on your persona somehow. Like, do you work well on pressure? Do you like to work on pressure? Do you like to have a goal to follow? I think it ends up being that. And some people can't, some people don't.
Well, I enjoy doing both, because working on the pressure gives me a rush, and just doing music for fun or just making sounds for no reason gives me a rush as well, so it's about that, it's about having fun. And but yeah, I mean, having to finish something is definitely making you do make different decisions along the way, because you discard everything that's not necessary and just focus on the things that are necessary, and that's a whole other mindset. But it's equally as rushy, it can be equally enjoyable. But I was just wondering, because I mean, pretty much everybody I talk to and I know just got into music because it gave them a way to express themselves and explore and think about things and there's so many reasons why you can get into music, but the creative process itself is something you can not destroy, but it can get to the background if you become too systematic about things. So I think for me what works is to alternate the moments where I'm just allowing myself to have fun with it and other moments where I have to finish stuff. I think it's a healthy balance. Yeah.
No, and I also think that keeps it interesting because when you're doing projects that you need to finish and deliver, you're starting thinking, oh, I want my free time to do whatever the fuck I want. And when that time arrives, you're like, damn, I'm hyped. Let's go. So I do really believe that's at least for me, it's a good thing. Like it's having those different moments which you can always enjoy differently.
In a different way, yeah.
Different way. It makes sense.
They're both interesting, yeah.
In the whole creative cycle of things, I think they need to happen, and they do make sense to happen. At least for me.
Yeah.
What about you, Robin? Do you sometimes sit down and make shit without a reason?
Yeah, quite. Yeah, I would say maybe even quite often, but that would probably also be because I know. let me phrase this in the right way.
Yeah,
because I'm sounding weird now. Because I know it would end up somewhere nice anyway. If it turns out well. Basically, I have sometimes have a certain thing in mind, like, okay, well, right now I feel like, let's make some really up-tempo music, and then I'm not making music specifically for a certain label or something. I just start making stuff, and which is me, and then I make it, catered 100% to what I play and to my live and hybrid sets and whatever. And then in the end, if labels like what I do, when they receive it, then they may release it. Great. And I send it off to a label, and if they are interested, then I'm thankful, and that's awesome. But it always starts like just having fun, having fun in the studio, and if it's like full on techno or more dub techno or ambient stuff or very deep stuff, whatever. It's basically the starting point is always just to have fun, Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And then at the end, if it ends up somewhere that I can release it in one form or another, then that's great,
Yeah.
The thing with exploring many places is that sometimes labels look at you expecting something, and if you present something a bit weirder, they won't like it or whatever,
Well, but then I would just.
That's the biggest challenge for me when it comes to do some different stuff, because I have a lot of like I have a folder here with many weird music, drony,
Bandcamp.
English.
Throw it out.
On label Bandcamp.
Start your own imprint and release it on there, and I have the same sometimes that I've made a lot of techno, which was more melodic in the past. I've released an album that is only dub techno, and I've also made a lot of more harder abstract things. But I like all of them. it's a bit the same with food, you know. I mean, some people know that I like ramen soup sometimes, but not every day, you know. You know, it's the same with music, you know. I don't like to make like, you know, only techno or only dub techno or only whatever, you know. I like to do many different things and
Keep yourself entertained.
yeah. And if I send stuff to a label and it's different than what they expected, then I say, okay, well, you know, let's talk, you know, what did you have in mind, you know, and then maybe I have other stuff that they might be interested in, you know.
But I do agree a little bit with Artur in this, like at least.
Yeah, of course.
It is a little bit sad at the same time, but also understandable, which is like,
of course, because a label might have only heard one side of you, you know, and that's the way they. Yeah.
And then you send something which is also cool, but they're like, you know, I wanted that track that went onto that label as well, because they think that will have success or anything. It doesn't need to be like that. Many times people...
It needs to fit the label in a certain way, but it also depends on what kind of label it is. Maybe the label has a vision, but there are other labels that say like, okay, I chose this artist and I want this artist to be that artist.
That's it.
And that is also fine, you know?
That's awesome. If that happens, that's awesome. Like they give you full freedom somehow.
Yeah.
But it happened to me. Like said, oh, you know, I will prefer that kind of music that you did for that label. And I was like, dude, you ask music from me, so you get music from me. So okay, okay. Dudes were nice. They were nice people. They were educated and very polite. Said, okay, give me some more time. But I do understand a little bit what Artur is saying, and one of the people who pushed me to have my own label was Artur, because of basically me doing whatever thing came out of there, and not at least let people decide if it's good or not somehow. And I also love to release. I actually really love to release and to.
Yeah, it's so easy to get your stuff out there, you know. Even if it's you know, even the simplest way is, of course, just to put it online without even having the monetizing idea, you know, just to basically create context around everything else you do. Yeah. But it's also very easy to start something like a Bandcamp page or whatever. I saw maybe one last subject. I saw something about DJ live sets, hybrid sets. Das Monstrum has a problem, a hard time doing hybrid or DJ live sets. How do we go about it? Maybe Robin start first, because you're the hybrid set expert among us, I guess.
Yeah. Well, how do I go about it? Well, basically, it's a very simple. I always say use to play live. And then suddenly I realized, you know, if I do like, I mean, I'm not a DJ. I never learned how to beat match. I cannot even beat match. So then the next best thing is combining my own stuff with other people's stuff. And how I see it, with either playing live or doing hybrid set, is having a good balance between. Like you know, the setup that you're creating is create a good balance between room for improvisation and overview, because so that you can always be on top of what you're doing. And and there are many ways to do that. I mean, I have a very simple setup: a Zone DB4 mixer, a laptop with Ableton, and my analog rhythm drum machine, and then sometimes maybe another synth or whatever. So it's super simple, but it's really effective. And there are many ways to create a setup that works, and for each person that is different. But yeah, what I would say is try to create a setup that is it has a good balance between room for improvisation and still keeping overview of what you're doing.
So you're Ableton, in Ableton you can play tracks that are basically recorded parts and stuff like that, and you kind of mix those up, and then you program things live using your analog rhythm in step mode, so you can actually change the patterns and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay. So.
And the things in Ableton can either be tracks from someone else, my tracks, or loops or little segments from someone else, or loops or little segments from me, and of course combined, and I mix them together in my Zone DB4 mixer, the hardware mixer, so I can pre-listen and everything that I'm doing. So I can always pre-listen before I decide what to throw in next.
So it's basically
what you're doing with Traktor, basically.
Yeah. I think the question I was going to ask to you, because I do a similar thing, but I use Traktor, and Traktor is set up as a system to DJ from a record box, basically. You basically browse your list before you load your sounds. So it's like an endless list of stuff that you can potentially use, which is not in the grid, or it's not loaded in your deck, which to me gives it a bit of a DJing vibe, because you're whatever is already playing, you kind of think in your head, what can I do next, and then you sort of browse for it, or you browse something, you just browse to look for things, and then it gives you an idea, pretty much like going through a record box in like no, not this one, maybe this one, and Ableton, of course, is laid out as more like a grid. So how do you prevent yourself from playing down a list or
endlessly scroll? Well, the main thing with that is endlessly scrolling. And I answered a question on your Discord a few days ago from someone who asked that. Mm-hmm. It's right now I have around 1,000
clips,
like vertically. Right now I have around 1,000 clips in Ableton, which sounds like quite a lot, but I have them separated in several segments that I can jump to instantly by triggering a dummy clip in one row, which is like a dummy row.
Okay.
So I have like 8 or 10 dummy clips.
Basically like positions in your library.
And I use the effects knobs on the DB4 that I'm not using in my set. All those knobs are like, each one is mapped to one of those dummy clips. So I can easily skip 30 or 50 rows with clips, or more. I can go from top to bottom or vice versa, with one push of a button. So I can very easily go very quickly. I can go anywhere in my set.
Okay, well that's cool, man. Because that's the only thing that I never really liked about using Ableton for DJ sets, because it was
otherwise you will be endlessly scrolling because of all those things.
And also the whole system or process of being on stage and just improvising, just sort of winging it. I like that, I need that kind of tension that you never know what's going to happen next, and you're sort of on the verge of panicking. I really play better when I
sometimes. But with me, it's sometimes if I try to find this one song or segment that I got from somewhere or whatever, and I felt like, wow, that's really cool. And I'm not able to find it, and where was it again? And I switch between segments, so you see the Ableton click, and I'm not able to find it.
People in the room think, he's probably reading his email there. Yeah. So, no, but that's definitely a good way to prevent things to be becoming too rehearsed or too obvious, because you whatever this person who was asking, you already said it. There needs to be a balance between controllability and improvisation, and I think that's the most important thing you have to think about when you're assembling your live setup. You know, you need something that is, or don't necessarily need to the part that you can fall back on. You know, you can choose how much that actually is represented in your system.
Yeah.
But if you choose to have that, you know, it's something you can always fall back on, like that there's not going to be any silence, you know, that's cool.
Yeah.
But the improvisation part is something you have to work out for yourself. How daring do you want to be in keeping the options open and versus, you know, drawing from sort of safe areas and pre-programming things.
Yeah.
That's something you have to work out for yourself. And I think the more experience you get, the more fine you are with leaving all the options open.
Yeah, I think it's in the end, you need to make sure that you're comfortable with your own setup before you play it out.
It's your instrument. It's your instrument.
Exactly.
You basically have to learn it as an instrument.
Yeah.
And
it's an expression of you.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's see. There was a question from Mr. Gluten K. Reason I said pre-listen, and pre-listen is what you do when you pre-listen on the headphones on the DJ mixer
queuing
before you throw something in. Yeah, queuing.
Yeah. But I think to Das Monstrum, which hi Das Monstrum Ferreira, which is my mate from Friday nights, live jams or wherever jams that is. I many times tried different setups doing that. I tried using Traktor. Honestly, I cannot use Ableton to DJ. I just can't. Do I need to vape to make techno? Yes, dude, you need, or else you're not good. But honestly, I tried with Traktor, seeking to MIDI, right? So Traktor being the master clock. But I was doing the beat grid of all the tracks I had on Traktor, which is very painful, actually. But I don't know. I don't like that format very much. I tried many times. I tried with syncing manually, with having like a drum machine and the synth going on. I don't know. I never felt it actually. But the way I will do it, because it will be similar like Joachim, which is purely DJ Traktor software or anything like that, or some kind of mixer that can read BPMs and send MIDI out that exists on the market. Some stuff like that, and then go. But I don't know. I never gel with it. I prefer to separate things. I have a lot of fun doing DJ sets only, and a lot of fun doing just live improvisation stuff.
What about you, Arthur? Do you do live shows, or do you prefer to DJ?
I did, but nowadays I prefer to DJ when performing live, because I wasn't too happy with the way that I had my lives structured. You know, because I had a bunch of tracks. I mean, it was not one of those lives that, like, the tracks were already known arranged and all released and everything was already arranged and whatever. When I was preparing a live act, I would compose music or compose parts only to use on that live act. Yeah. But in the end, they were samples. The drum the improvisation part was the drum programming in the way that I would trigger the clips. So most of the times I would combine different stuff with each other and all that. But I mean, I wasn't really manipulating the scenes and whatever live. And that's kind of, I don't know, didn't felt like a proper live to me. But I have this conversation with lots of friends and they said like, of course it's alive. And I'm like, but I don't use any hardware besides controllers.
Well, yeah, I think, you know, it's, to me,
but I had a lot of fun doing that. I had a lot of fun doing that. But I mean, I might continue to do like that one day, but I'm not really sure if I will call it alive or something. I don't know. You know, I have to think about it. Yeah.
To me, it's something is live when there is a very substantial amount of danger in what you do. You know, if it can go wrong, horribly wrong, it's live. And if it's too safe, it's probably, I don't know, you can still call it live, but I think the nice thing about a live show is the fact that it can go wrong and it can blow up and you can completely bomb, you know. And that puts you on an edge, which is something that that you can feel in the room. You know, you can feel that this person is actually doing something which at any moment can can blow up or go horribly wrong, and the moments that are created out of that situation are the valuable thing about actually doing it live. And
because it demands that focus, and then you're in that bubble, and then you get those results.
I don't think what you're doing as your live act stuff, Artur. I don't think it's imposter syndrome, like someone was saying there. It is not, because you can fuck up all your life while you're doing it. You're combining different pieces. You can perfectly fuck all that up. What is bad is arrive to a venue, as I seen, and you have the arrangement view of Ableton Live all laid up,
and you press play and you open the bottle of champagne.
And I was like, okay, so is this what is this live? It's like now twisting live for something. No, that's something that you should feel bad, honestly, and I don't care saying this to anybody who does it, but like Joachim said, at any moment that you're doing something that you have the pressure to do something well, and it can go wrong, and what you're doing is that, man.
So it demands the focus. It needs you need to focus to have it right.
That's it. Like it is not because of the fact that you arranged or composed a few loops, MIDI arrangements and stuff, and you then play that live. That doesn't mean it is not live.
A lot of my loops, when I play like a live set when I have to travel, I only take the analog with them as my only piece of extra hardware. Then from Ableton, I play a lot of loops from my own music that are like complete pieces of music with all sounds in it. But I manipulate them with my mixer, so that I can only get a little bit out of it, like the mid and all. So it's not all separate sounds. It's like little loops. But that's just the way how I like it, and how I can make it sound great. With, for me, a good balance between overview and room for improvisation.
Yeah. Just like Sven Witken is saying. By the way, hi Sven.
And that things can still go wrong, absolutely. But it's for me. It's a relatively safe thing to do, So
Yeah, that's it. For me, it's what Joachim said and what Sven is saying. It's like you have the chance to create unexpected stuff.
Exactly.
That's the thing. Yeah. You're creating new stuff out of your stuff. That's coming up with new ideas on the spot.
Making something out of nothing.
Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, basically.
Because you never know how something. No matter how much or how little music you have in your set, you will never know how everything sounds with everything else. So you will always somewhere in the set. I think you will always stumble upon something that either or doesn't work, and then you have to work to make it work again, or something it works way better than you thought, and then you have. That thing that's
success.
Well, there you go.
All these concepts are debatable, which is cool, and it's also important.
And personal.
And if in the end of the day, if it's supposed to make people dance, and if they dance. It's great, like
that's it, dude. People having fun.
At the end of the day, that's awesome as well,
Yeah, and you having fun as well.
Because I've seen lives that are like real super hardware-ish lives and whatever, but they were supposed to be danceable and they were far from that. And
that happens.
And I've seen lives that are a bit more simple that were outstanding, So. It's there is all these questions that come up when talking about this stuff, but it's nice to have these conversations as well.
Yeah, I think it comes down to designing an instrument you feel comfortable with, which leaves enough room for improvisation and expression.
Yeah.
And where the line is between prepared stuff and leaving it up to the moment is for everybody else, for everybody to decide for themselves.
Yeah.
So anyway, listen, we are already talking for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and
Wow, already?
I hate to cut it short, but maybe what we usually do at the end of conversations like this, we give everybody a little moment to plug any recent stuff they've been doing, or any releases, any upcoming gigs, streams, whatever. So maybe Gustavo, go first and tell us what do you want to share with our audience.
Okay, so I released very recently on Animal Farm an EP just with originals, which a little bit different than I've been doing lately. My label, of course. Upcoming stuff, the only one that I can only announce because the person announced it without me knowing, it will be on Ben Sim's Symbolism. It's summer VA that he normally does every year. I'll have a track there. Other than that, well, my live streams and that's it. And if I can shamelessly do publicity or advertisement,
go for it.
If you're into music production, join Stoor Discord and join my Discord, because I think you'll also have fun to do music there. We hold this monthly challenges, like to make people do music. And we've been having quite a lot of nice results, which is fun. And I'm having fun listening to that music as well. It's inspiring somehow. So I'm also doing that as a side job, a new label out of that. And that's it. And well, usual stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's cool to see you started doing streams and created a community like we are doing. But you've accomplished a lot in a very short time, which is great. So well done to you.
Thank you, man. And I have to say it really was. For you guys starting this, it really was also Sander pushing me, dude, you should stream. I said, no, I don't want to. All of that helped, and I'm quite happy what I've been accomplishing the last months, and especially all the love and care that people shown up to this. That's the most at least for me, it's the most important. Okay, he knows everything.
Are you on after this? Are we rating you, or are you
no,
keeping?
No, please, no, nothing like that. No, but
come on, man. I thought you were doing your 5-hour stream.
Yeah, we can have an after chat on your on your Twitch.
Do you really want me to set that up? I can if you want to, but actually, I've been quite overwhelmed to see, and thankful for this. Don't get me wrong. Thankful in a way for this pandemic stuff, because it really approached a lot of people to my music and to all of our music in a way. So yeah, that's it.
It has created a lot of opportunities. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, sure. as well.
Cool.
Thanks.
Well, great to have you on, man. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you somewhere else on one of the servers and channels or whatever. Yeah,
anywhere out there.
Exactly. Okay, Robin, you got anything coming up?
Let's see. First festival booking, Paradigm Festival in early August. So that's really nice.
Working a real gig with real people.
With real people, yeah. And in 2 weeks, I have an EP coming out on Diffuse Reality. That's going to be a 7-track EP with 2 remixes. And I still call it an EP because I think an album needs to tell a story. And these are just like, techno tools, but I've tested them out and they work nicely. So I'm happy with it. And basically working on other music. So let's see where that brings me in the future.
Stuff in the pipeline. Wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool, man. Thanks for being here. And
thank you,
Arthur. Anything we can expect from you?
Yeah, I'll have next week an EP on Mord. A 6-track EP on Mord. Then in July I will have the LP on Axis. And yeah, I'm currently working on something really nice as well. That probably around the end of the year you'll hear about it as well.
Awesome.
Cool.
Great.
And how about you, Joachim? What you have coming up?
There's actually quite a lot of stuff in the pipeline which I can't mention, but I will do the usual shout outs for our Discord server that you already just mentioned. Sander has posted the link. He might post it again for people who still don't know. But it's a really nice community. If you want to be among people who are discussing, producing music, that's the place to go. The other thing is that we have a Patreon page, which if you can just support us there, or you can go to the higher tiers where you can get free sound packs that we do every month. That's basically just stuff that we do here in the studio and share with everybody, and masterclasses to get your productions to the next level. It's been really fun doing those, actually. I've been seeing progression with people who've been around for since the beginning, pretty much, almost a year now.
Okay, cool.
So I've been coaching some people to finish their EPs or even albums, and it's been really fun to hook up with people like that and share. I learn as much from them as they do the other way around, which is great. So
amazing.
It's been fun. So that's pretty much it for me. So thanks again to all of you for joining, and thanks to the people who were watching this on Twitch.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
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 Yeah.
Ooh.